Sometimes technology is so fantastic. Um, mhm, mhm. All right. Hopefully now everybody can hear John and I have this conversation. Um, there we go. Let's see here. Just turn this up for a quick second. Hopefully now. Yep, we can. That's weird. um, okay. I think we're rolling now again.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, we got confirmation that somebody can hear us. Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate it. So, good morning again for those just now joining me again. Education obviously has changed. Fortunately, I have somebody who knows a little bit about that, John Bullock. John, I did ask you this before, but for those rejoining us here, what is your official title?
I am the executive director of the Redmond Proficiency Academy.
Great, thank you. And the question obviously on the table, school is definitely not the same as it used to be. What does this look like for you guys these days?
Well, I think it's clear to everyone that this isn't school as usual, and that we're facing some unique challenges, and we're hoping to turn those into unique opportunities for our students and our families and our communities. First and foremost, though, everyone is concerned with the health and safety of our students, our families, and our community. And we want to make sure that people are taking the right precautions to protect themselves from the virus, that they're following the guidelines put forth by the CDC and the Oregon Health Authority, to make sure that they're washing their hands and that covering their mouths and noses when they sneeze or cough, and taking precautions to clean their hard surfaces. And because we know, following Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that people have to have their basic needs met: food, shelter, healthcare, before that they can experience safety and security, and before they're ready to start learning. And so we're hoping that schools can help people through that process. We're trying to communicate with our families and community about the various resources that are available, and providing them with as much information as we have, so that they have a reliable source of information. And we're hoping in doing so, it helps them to meet their basic needs and also provides them a sense of safety and security. And we think schools can fill an important role in that, in providing safety and security for our students, because they know that there's somebody out there, somebody that cares about them, and somebody that wants to help them not only get through this situation, but grow because of it. And so we think that this is a unique challenge, and it's going to present some unique opportunities as it relates to learning.
I think that's the key, is the unique opportunities, as you just said. I think this is great, because we haven't had anybody talking about education right now, so I appreciate you definitely coming on. And I think it's so important to realize that a lot of these kids also are just craving that normal schedule. Can you talk about what that looks like for this education process as well?
Sure. I think one of the things that we want to emphasize for everybody is that this isn't going to be perfect, and no one should feel the need to be perfect, and no one should feel the need to do everything. I think if anybody is on the internet, which everybody probably is, right, you can see that there are tons and tons of resources out there, and tons of buy this, do this, you should make it work this way. What we want to tell people is slow down, take care of yourself, and find the unique ways in which you can learn through this environment. We want to encourage all of our students and families to spend time every day reading, writing, thinking, creating, and communicating. We think if students read, write, think, create, and communicate, that will help them learn and grow. And it allows you the ability to find learning opportunities that exist for you and for your student and for your family. Some people might use as an opportunity to learn to code, or other people will learn about how to grow a garden, or maybe you'll start an online book club. There are lots of ways that learning happens. We know that learning is something that happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't have to happen within the four walls of our school. And now is an opportunity for people to find unique ways in which they can learn and grow. One of the key elements of all of this, though, is connectivity. We know that school is a social environment. We know that our schools are community hubs. And so it's critically important that our schools maintain contact with our students to provide that social support, that emotional support. And so we want to encourage our educators to engage in things like Facebook live streams or Zoom chats or ways in which the students can connect with the people that they know care deeply about them and that are there to help them when they're ready to learn.
Yeah, and John, can you talk a little bit about what you guys are doing? I mean, you're talking about that connection via technology. What is that sort of for you guys, and how would you encourage people to use the technology for education?
Well, at RPA, we have for a long time utilized technology to communicate with students and families and our community, and most all of our classrooms utilize, or most all of our classrooms utilize Google Classroom. So that's an online learning delivery system where teachers can post lectures and resources and assignments, and students can interact in an asynchronous environment. And so many of our teachers are simply making their Google Classrooms a bit more robust. The other thing we have to keep in mind in this is that there's really three different ways to approach this online learning or this digital learning or distance learning, however we want to term it, as students are learning outside of school. One of those is an independent study model where students are given a task or they have an area of focus and they work on it on their own without direct connection on a regular basis and are simply generating their own knowledge and learning on a project or on an area of interest. Then there's the other side of that, which is more of a synchronous, real-time, face-to-face learning environment where teachers, students interact online in real time to answer questions, to solve problems, to communicate. And then in between is more of a blended model that utilizes some asynchronous technology and some synchronous technology so that students can work on something and then there's a check-in point where they can get online and talk to their teacher or other students about the work they're doing.
Great. So for you guys, obviously you have this model where you've been doing a lot of this, online and using some of this technology already. Is there some tips that you could recommend for people that haven't necessarily haven't necessarily been doing this for forever, I guess?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, it goes back to what I said earlier, is that we all need to give ourselves the grace to be kind to ourselves. We need to be kind to ourselves and we need to take good care of ourselves. That's the best thing we can do, which means when it comes to using technology or trying new things, we're not going to be perfect, and that is okay. We're all in this thing together and we're going to learn and grow together. But the tips I would tell people is that don't be afraid to make a mistake when you're using technology. Don't be afraid to do it wrong. It takes mistakes to learn and grow. And so I'd encourage people to experiment with the types of technology that work best for them. And then when you find something that works, feel free to stick with it. Like I said before, you don't have to use every tool out there. In fact, I don't think you can. And you don't have to use every possible learning opportunity that's put forward. I think one of the things I fear for people during this time is that they're going to be inundated with other people telling them how to do things. Build your schedule this way. Do your learning this way. I don't think that's going to work. I think people need to find what works for their students and what works for their family, given the unique nature of their circumstances and the unique nature of their learning. So I think what I encourage people to do is take your time, take a deep breath, try things, figure out what works for you, and then go with that. And be secure in the knowledge that what you do, and if it works for you, is the right thing to do.
You mentioned through this also, finding the right thing to do, but you also, that takes a lot of grace a lot of times, finding those right things. Yeah. Not everybody's good with that grace piece. One of the things I've been concerned about is this mental health piece. What can we do for, well, obviously people that are now being educators, but at the same time, what can we do for our kids, do you feel, that is best for this mental health?
I think we need to listen to them. We need to hear them when they're filled with anxiety or stress about this. We need to take the time to listen. Our children need to be heard, and then they need to be reassured. They need to know that the adults and the teachers and their parents and the people that care about them deeply are putting forth their absolute best effort every day to keep them safe and to keep them healthy, and that we're ready to help them learn when they're ready to learn. But I think what we're going to do specifically is we're asking teachers to have regular email contact with students. We're asking our counseling staff to reach out to those folks that maybe we haven't heard from to check in with them. We're providing families with a list of community resources, including the food distribution that's happening in concert with the Redmond School District and other neighboring school districts. And we're trying to ensure people have the knowledge and resources to get the help they need, but we're also reaching out. I think what our community needs right now is connectivity. People need to be connected. It's what makes us a community. It's what makes us a special place to live and work and grow, is that we're connected to one another and we care about one another. And right now is a great time to reach out and stay connected. Because sometimes all it takes is someone just to listen to you and to hear you and affirm that it's okay to have the feelings you're having. And it's also okay to plow forward and try and make a unique learning opportunity happening, a unique relationship happening. Now's a unique time where we can try things and move forward and see what works and what doesn't. But we've got to be kind to one another. We've got to take care of one another, and we've got to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah, and I think the kindness has to show through. That's for sure. You just mentioned creative solutions, and I think that a lot of times there's too many people that are afraid to challenge or do some things. And I mean, this is the opportunity to step out and just be like, well, there's not much on the line. I mean, financially there could be, but just, how do we interact with each other? We have to try, like you're saying, all sorts of different ways now, because connecting is not as easy as going next door to a neighbor's house and knocking on the door anymore. So I think that's a strong thing right there that we have to really, 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 really look into as far as the connection. What else, do you think from an education standpoint, John, is important right now for the families and the kids to keep in mind through this time?
I think our students and families need to know that our educators are putting forth their best effort to help our students and families, and that they're a priority, and we are here when they are ready for us to provide those educational opportunities. I think parents and families need to know that they don't have to recreate school at home. This isn't their charge. They don't have to think that they need to homeschool. Teachers across our state and across our country are working to find ways to engage students and maintain communication and encourage learning opportunities. I know that there's a lot of teachers out there too who are feeling overwhelmed by this. To be asked to flip a switch and take what you've done for years in a classroom and try and put it all online is overwhelming. And what I want to tell the teachers out there and the educators out there is you don't have to do it all, and you don't have to be perfect. And all you need to do is be your best self that day, whatever that looks like, and to reach out and connect with kids. And I think that's all we can ask for anybody, is to be your best self on that day, whatever that looks like. And reach out. We also need to know that learning happens everywhere, every day, and that it doesn't have to look like a traditional classroom setup for learning to happen. We know part of learning is being healthy. We've got to take care of our mind and body, our soul and our spirit. And this unique time in our history is going to provide valuable lessons for us. How we emerge from this, how we think about community, how we think about money, how we think about the environment. All of those are learning opportunities that exist, and we shouldn't discount them just because they don't get packaged into a classroom environment. What we want people to do is, to read, write, think, create, and communicate on a regular basis. That's how we learn and grow. I also think families need to create their own priorities. This is a time where we have to take care of ourselves and our families, and every family's priorities are going to be unique. And if that means for you, it means holding a family meeting. If it means from getting everybody on a Zoom chat, for example, this afternoon we're going to meet my parents for an online happy hour. They've been cooped up in their house down in the rural part of Southern Oregon, and we're going to get a Zoom chat and break open a bottle of wine, and we're just going to have a virtual happy hour together and reconnect. And I think those are the type of things we can do to help one another through this. And it relates to learning too. We got to have realistic expectations about the learning, and we got to have realistic expectations about the times that happen. So what I want to encourage people to do, help your students own their education by exploring what they're curious about, encouraging them to read, write, think, and communicate, and know that educators are here and ready when you're ready to learn. We have, for example, we've got a list of resources up on our webpage at rpacademy.org where people can go if it's a curated list of ways people can engage in education. It's not exhaustive and it's not perfect, but it's a place where people can go if they're feeling overwhelmed to say, hey, I need to figure out something about math. Great, here, click on this, and maybe it'll help you.
Is this, John, is this the resource that you were speaking of right here?
Yeah, that's our document that we've got up right now. We're going to continue to refine that and help it grow and develop as time goes on. And that's open to everybody in the community, everybody in the country, anybody that's got our web address that wants to get on there. There's nothing proprietary about that. It's just a curated list of resources, but we thought that it'd be beneficial for families who might just need somebody to say, hey, use this. This will help. We just want to be ready to help people learn when they're ready to learn. But more importantly, we want to help our community. We want to help spread care and compassion throughout this crisis so that our students and families and communities know that we're a resource and we care and we're here for them.
Yeah. And I appreciate you doing that for sure. I've been asking this of all of the guests that have been coming on because I'm concerned about the community as a whole here, John. What are you doing for mental health right now?
Well, thanks for asking me to think about it. I've been making sure that I get in some exercise every day. I've decided that I'm either going to come out of this thing I'm either going to be more fit or more fat, and depending on the day and the hour, it varies whether I'm stress eating or I'm running on the treadmill. But I'm trying to get exercise every day, and my partner and I, she and I, sit down every day and have a meal together. We cook a meal together so that we've got that time together. And I'm communicating with my daughter who's away at college on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. We're doing FaceTimes or texting. So I'm trying to stay connected, and I'm trying to make sure that we create a new normal out of this.
Great. Thank you, John, for joining us. I appreciate it. Anything else? I think you did a pretty good job, but is there anything else you want to leave us with today?
Yeah, I just appreciate you and what you're doing to try and help people stay connected to the community. I just want to reemphasize to folks that take care of yourself, take care of one another, and nobody's going to be perfect at this, and you don't have to be perfect either. Just be kind to yourself and be kind to one another. And if every one of our children and every one of our adults in our community can spend time every day reading, writing, thinking, creating, and communicating, we're going to get through this thing, and we're going to do it together. And we stand ready to help whenever and however we can.
Yeah, I totally agree, John. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you share your knowledge on what education looks like, and I certainly appreciate it. And there's a couple of references in the sheet about TED Talks and that sort of thing, and I don't know if that links to your TED Talk. We could always say that you also did a TED Talk here locally at TEDx Bend, and so I appreciate your knowledge very much, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So that was John Bullock. I appreciate you guys joining us this morning. We are going to start revealing more of the lineup as it goes through the course of the day. I am also, just for those of you that would like to be on YouTube, I am working on that. I'm also working on trying to get it up on our own website as well, with chat features as well. So we're hoping to spread this to as many people as possible. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful morning, and